Okay, we are live. We are live in Namibia. Obviously, I am not in Namibia, but I am with, I don't want to call them the three amigos, but because they're obviously not three amigos, but we got three top speed sailors. We've got Twan Verseput. We have got the first man to ever go past 40 knots, correct me if I'm wrong, in 1988, Erik Beale. We've got Farrel O'Shea, the British speed record holder. They are in Luderitz, and we are going to try and bring you a bit of a questions and answers. We're going to have a little look around their little site and their R&D spot. And let's hope that their screen is not frozen. It looks pretty frozen at the moment.
Right. We're back.
We're back. We've got to make some excuses. They are in Namibia. The Wi-Fi isn't the best. They're pretty close to the coffee shop, and that's the sort of internet we're running off. So, boys, first question: how was the first windy day? Obviously, it didn't look super windy, but just give people a feel at home what was going down and what was happening.
Right. It wasn't super windy to start with. We've had a couple of little days where it's sort of blown, could be 18, 20 knots, and then it started to pick up a little bit. Very little wind in the start box, little bit of wind on the course. Course was extremely flat. Yeah, it was pretty good conditions. Picked up a little bit throughout the day, but nothing of any strength, and the sailors were sailing very efficiently and very fast.
Yeah, I was looking at the course. Have they made any changes to the course this year? The actual, I saw there was more water on the right-hand side, the windward side. Does that make sense? I don't know. Is there any differences this year?
No. The sandbag the windward bank, done a really good job of it. So it's much deeper right next to that windward bank, and it's much more secure. You can see where you're going. You know it's deep enough. Yeah, the course is very good. Done an amazing job. Yeah.
Okay. Looks
good,
man.
Is in the...
Yeah, we're back again. Can you hear us, Ben?
Yeah, I can now. Go again, Erik.
We'll see. Maybe in a minute.
Yeah.
You're back?
Okay, I'm gonna. The problem is we did a little test, and when the internet's slow, it's obviously very difficult.
Yeah, it was actually
over.
Yeah, we're gonna start putting in now. Here we go.
Let me just.
No, it was pretty quick given the given how light the wind was. I think the maximum we saw was 29 or 30 knots of wind, so it was pretty quick. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I've looked at the forecast. It's not looking amazing. You've only also added one day of wind. Is there any feeling about this year, what the weather's doing, or is it? I mean, it's like any year, it's total luck, is it? We just need one of those big forecasts to come through.
Too early to tell, really, isn't it? It's like this is only the end of week 1 of 6, yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's too early to tell. Usually, it seems like somewhere around mid-November seems to be where it really, really cranks. I think Antoine's record day was it the 11th or 14th or something?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
The day we arrived, the weekend we arrived, it was super windy, right? When Twan came on the Saturday, how windy?
Typical. We do some tests. It was working fine. And as we've gone live, there's a little bit of a delay every so often. But just to give you an idea, if you are just tuning in, Twan Verseput, Erik Beale, Farrel O'Shea over in Namibia at the Luderitz Speed Challenge. They've had a week so far, only one day of sort of, channel worthy wind. We saw some times, I think I saw 500 meters of 48s, 47s for the top boys. And it, you know, it wasn't a record-breaking day, but I guess a good day to just get on the channel and kind of feel everything for anything out. Farrell, we heard you sustained a bit of an injury. Hammy, the old footballer. Oh, the internet. We might have to get you to go back to the coffee shop, boys. Well, if you guys can hear me at home, hit your questions up. There is a definite delay on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's kind of in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, this could be.
You're back now, though.
Yeah, this could be a bit of a struggle, boys. Is it better internet outside at the coffee shop? Do you think that's the problem? We might have to move them to sunnier climes.
We can go closer and see if it's
closer to the coffee, and we'll also get a look around. They are in the R&D shed, So if you want to have a little look of what's going on, we have got visuals. So you know they've got a fair bit of gear around, and I know the guys at home love to see the gear.
Yeah. Well, we can set it down outside and just kind of keep chatting. Let's see. A chair outside would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So we got a few speedboards racked up there.
Yeah.
Like I said, you got to bear with us, boys. They are in Namibia, and like I said, I've been there. The Wi-Fi is not the greatest. I won't lie to you. So we're trying our best to sort of bring it round. If you have got any questions for the guys, let me know. Obviously, in the comments. Question for Erik.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. So we got the first question coming up, why the guys get sorted. I'll put the questions on the screen so you boys can at least read them. How did the prototype Neil Pride work today? I think it was a 4-4, wasn't it? We'll wait for those boys to get sorted. So there's quite a few people asking, why don't they do the live stream in Luderitz? Why is this? Why is this? Well, I think this might explain it. The internet is not the best, which is obviously we're struggling a little bit here to get a decent connection. Again, we did some tests. It was working great. Now, as soon as we go live, obviously, we are struggling a little bit.
Try it from this one.
Yeah, that seems better.
I think my phone is working a bit better.
Yeah, that seems really clear.
Just turn around the camera.
That seems good, man.
Better like this?
Yes. Well, the sound is perfect.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Then we just use it like this on the phone.
Okay, sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Question for Erik was about the new Pride sail. Maybe you can explain a little bit about the sail he was using.
Yeah. They're asking how did the prototype Neil Pride work today? Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, we got a truck leaving in the background.
Trust me, that's the least of our worries.
Now we got a truck, in the background.
And just don't walk in there. You lose the internet.
Lose the signal? Yeah. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that sounds good, man.
Can you hear me now, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. That's all the way up. Having trouble connecting this, maybe. Move closer to your router. Now we know. Well, I think there's a lot of people on.
I mean, sound-wise, you are clear as day, guys. You just maybe can't hear me. Well, maybe we'll have to reschedule this this interview if we can't get the sound right. We're trying, guys. We're trying. We want to bring you some information straight from the beach. Like I said, we've got all the guys there. We just need some internet.
I moved closer to the coffee shop now. Might be better.
Perfect. That sounds good, man. I can hear you. If you can hear me, we're all good.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can hear you. So I think the question was about the Neil Pride, the prototype sail.
Yes.
It's just in and out. It's hard to say. Not sure if you're getting this, Ben.
I can hear you most of the time.
Yeah. No, the prototype is all good. It's super fast considering there was no wind. 43 knot times with just like 20-25 knots of wind. But looking forward to getting a chance to use it in proper wind.
Yeah, let's hope you boys get the forecast. Obviously, we were going to try and do a little walk around just to show the boys and girls at home watching what goes on in Luderitz, because speed, anyone who's ever done a speed event will know there is a lot of sitting around waiting for those good forecasts, but there's also a lot of gear tinkering. Gear, and you are the master. From what I've been seeing on Facebook, you and Farrell must make a great team. But obviously people have seen the wingsuit. People want to know, how did it work? How is it to sail in the wingsuit? How much difference do you think it's going to make? There's a lot of questions there, I think. So,
yeah, sailing actually was no issues with the sailing. It's got the ergonomics of it pretty sorted out. I had an earlier design which kind of locked in my left, my backhand, so I couldn't oversheet at the finish line, which would have been a problem. But yeah, it's pretty much sorted. Yeah, I put it on and went 2 knots faster to answer the question, but the wind was going up as well, so that it's hard to be really conclusive about that. Yeah.
But it's definitely interesting. It's something that in every other sport they are doing, aren't they? It's kind of, windsurfing has never done it. Realistically, there's been a few little tries, but no one's really gone down that route.
No, well, I think there's an element of, people don't want to look like a penguin, right? I mean, it's like you're walking around. So it's like, if you look daft and you go fast, it's fine. But if you look daft and go slow, then people are afraid of like losing face, as it were. But at this point, I'm over it.
Well, I have to say, for me, and I said this yesterday on the live stream, you're a lighter rider. Firstly, how heavy are you?
Right now, I'm 75 kilos. Probably 72 at the end of the day when, a bit dehydrated. But I was 83 kilos when I did my 49 knot run. So I'm a lot lighter than I was back in 2015. Yeah. Yeah. And
obviously weight makes a difference. 100%.
Oh, for sure. Huge. I mean, the 100 kilo guy can sheet in a lot harder than a 75 kilo guy.
Yeah. So when you're doing speed, what's your thought process? Are you, I mean, I know because I'm a light guy as well. I'm not looking at Antoine Albo trying to break that speed record, or are you? Is that something or have you got your own personal goals, or do you judge yourself against sailors of your own size? It's quite an interesting question for me, that, because I'm in a similar boat.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been the fastest light sailor for quite a while, so obviously I'm always trying to compare myself with the big guys, which is a little bit of a tough one, because obviously they're intrinsically fast. Their sailing mechanics is much better than mine in terms of their leverage and strength. But yeah, so I can't go down the same path if I want to go the same speed, obviously.
Yeah, which is what makes it interesting for me. Like, you have definitely made me a little bit more interested. Like, I'm interested in Luderitz anyway, but seeing what you're doing, like, the nerd in me wants it to work. Like, I want something to happen, and then to be like, I don't know what, I'm just, how much weight have you got on, for starters? Because you've obviously got this wingsuit. Anyone who hasn't seen it, you can go to Erik's Facebook page. I think is it open? Like, people should be able to see it.
So my personal best in 2015, I was using about 12 to 14 kilos, but right now with the wingsuit, I'm not using any lead at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
okay.
That's kind of like the next step, is to actually start letting up. I mean, I can definitely feel the wingsuit is very slightly propulsive. So in other words, it's not just to cut the drag, but it actually generates a little bit of lift as well. So So you kind of get a shove in the back in the gusts. It kind of wants to stand you up a little bit. So it's taking a little bit of an adjustment to figure out how best to counter that.
Yeah, because I guess the faster you go, the way it's shaped is like an aeroplane wing. You create your own lift. Does it not work like that? I'm not very scientific.
No, that's entirely true. It's about a 0.3 square meter airfoil, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely making some power, no question.
And I've also seen, obviously, you've been doing stuff with the board. What's going on there? A lot of people are asking about that.
Yeah, the board. The idea there is it's an end plate. It's to. Oh, here you go. Twan is bringing it out to. What do we want? Camera. How do I switch the camera to the other way?
No, that's not it.
Technical, boys. Technical. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. So now we're facing the other way around. This is basically a sail end plate. So the idea here is that it stops the air from going underneath the sail, and then
pushes it out the back. Is it?
You back? Yeah, so it's flush with the leeward side of the board. So obviously one of the things is that it's got to be done in such a way that you can still jump on and ride it, right?
Yeah.
So the idea here, one of the key things is that this is hollowed out underneath, so that when you jump on the board, you can put your foot up here against the mast foot.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the ergonomics of it is a little bit tricky to actually get it so that you can still ride. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I mean, from when I was in Luderitz, the start, which I'm pretty sure is the same every year, is a very key thing. You know, you've got to be up to speed before that, before the start of the actual 500 meters, which for anyone who's never been to Luderitz, never tried it, and even when you watch the video, it's very hard to comprehend how hard that start is.
Yeah, and also how short it is. Yeah, because I mean, you're counting it in a matter of seconds how quickly you get to the corner, and you got to be, in your foot straps, and you got to be in your foot straps and fully hooked into your harness and settled before you're anywhere close to the corner.
Yeah, and not forgetting that on a record-breaking run, it's probably 60 knots, 55 knots of wind. So even just getting on the gear in some sort of vague control, it ain't easy.
No, it's epic. I mean, people don't realize how hard it is just even to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's Twan's. These are Twan's AV boards.
So what sizes are we running? Just to give ideas to guys at home. Now, speed boards, just to let everyone know, they're done usually in width. So when you hear a 37, a 38, that's the width of the board at the widest point. Is that correct, Erik?
Right. Exactly. So here you got Twan here. And what were you using yesterday, Twan?
40. Like the left one here, which is a little bit of the bigger brother of the other 40 I have.
Yeah.
So for me, it seems like 40 centimeter is the way to go. You need a little bit. I tried 38 in 2019, but for me, it was just too small. I don't know. I could easily get away on it, but you just lose too much speed when you enter the course. So maybe 40, and the one on the right is a little bit smaller tail. So it's for the high wind days, and this one is a bit bigger in the tail. You have a little bit more power from the board. It's just figuring out what works at the right moment in the end. So,
yeah.
And how heavy are you at the moment, Twan?
98.
98.
So not so heavy. Spent a little bit too much hours on the bike last couple of months. So yeah.
And how much lead are you putting on a record-breaking day?
Record day, maybe 15 max. It's like 15. For me, it felt like already quite chunky on the body, because you have to fill it up with foam as well to keep floating.
Yeah.
So it seems like 15 is a bit the max, like that you can handle and still be a little bit not like a cannonball going down the course. So 50. But mostly, like yesterday, I was only wearing like 5 kilograms, and not so much. The light winds, you don't need so much wind. But yeah.
And are you putting a lot of that weight up the top end?
What?
Are you putting a lot of the weight high up,
at the top,
or it's kind of spread?
No, I have mostly. I'm 2 meters, so either way, it's like high up. No, just kidding. But no, I have it like mostly it's in the back of the vest. I have most weight in the back pocket of the vest, because it's like just gives you more leverage on the sill. And I have as least as possible in the front. It's just easier to hang on the boom and have all the weight outside if you put most of it in the back. So it's like, I think I have if I put in 15 kilos, 10 kilos is on the back and 5 kilos is in the front of my vest. And,
Okay.
I think 90% of people is using the same vest. So.
Okay, just a couple of equipment questions. So you said your sort of optimum width speed board is a 40 wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. What liters that?
40
just
wide.
Because a lot of people at home don't work in width, but they'll kind of also. I know we work in width, and it's a bigger thing than the volume. But what is the volume on something like that? Do you
I think
know?
it's somewhere between 40 and 50 liters. The bigger one I have, the 40, should be more towards like the 50 liter volume, because it's also a bit fatter in the rails, and the smaller one, the one on the right, board where I did the Dutch record on back in 2019, it's more towards the 45 liter range.
Okay.
That's a really thin board also in the tail, so it's if it's blowing, it's going, but when it's not so strong and a bit gusty, it tends to sink a little bit more on the tail. But that's the balance you need to find in the end. You constantly try to adapt to the conditions we have, and you need different gear for different conditions, so try to fiddle around with that a little bit.
What fins are you using?
mainly Zs and Zontags. So I have a lot of Zs with me, ranging from 19.5 all the way down to 18, and each half a centimeter. Zontags the same. I have of gas oils with me as well. They're a bit thinner than the Zs and the Zontags, but also that, you can get theoretically a super thin, nice fin, which is faster, but you also want to have something which is safe in the end. And with the Zs and the Zontags, you have like a safe choice. It's working. You don't have any spin outs. So yeah. It's always a bit a gamble if you go on something else. So I will go with something I trust mainly.
Yeah.
So
It's
the
probably
thicker
like
fin.
I think the Z is a little bit thicker. I think Farrel is on Z19 and 18.75, right, Faz?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Still use the gas oil now and then.
Yeah.
On the hairy days, I tend to go for the Z fin, just because you can trust it.
Yeah.
Fast and safe.
Yeah. Yeah, the Z, it seems like you can run about 1 cm shorter in fin on the Z in comparison to the gas oil, but I mean, plenty of people have gone fast on both. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I was there, I remember I tried. Sorry, boys. I was just going to say, when I was there, I tried the Z and the gas oil. The gas oil for me had less lift. That's how it felt. Like the Z felt. I can only put it in terms of it felt more like a slalom fin, like the feel under the feet. Obviously, it's a speed fin, and then the gas oil was definitely less lifty.
That's exactly that. Like both the Z fins and also the Zontags I use. Sometimes they have the thickest part of the fin a bit more in front, so you tend to have more
put them all out here.
More the slalom feeling, what you're used to, and the gas oils they have a little bit more in the back.
Hold this for a second.
And that's making them faster in terms of drag, but also less secure. So it's a different feeling, but in the end, maybe on a really good day when the water is flat and the wind is super consistent, a fin with the profile a bit more in the back is faster theoretically. But it's a matter of like trust and trying, and that's the difficult thing here as well. I mean, you can get stuff which is theoretically the fastest in the world, but if you don't have any confident or sailing hours on it, that can hurt you quite quickly in the end.
Yeah. So we've got a question coming in. So how much does it cost to compete in Luderitz? What's it cost for a week?
A week.
1,250. Did I hear that?
Yeah, 1,250 euros, excluding staying, flight, car rental.
That's just for the use of the channel.
You have to show him this guy. Look, training.
Gunnar is just showing off now a little bit.
Now we know that's definitely not real.
No. That's like putting fear in his enemy's eyes, like this.
Jesus, how many is that already?
But 1,250 euros is the normal subscription rate for a week. So.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, another question coming in. Says, for speed competitions around the world, could you establish an indicator that accounts for riders' weight, like a handicap in golf? I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it, but
it's
then
still you're not the fastest.
It's not so. Yeah, I mean, you need to be. If it's blowing, you always be faster when you're heavy. So the only thing is to let up the people who are having less weight more. So they have to put on like 30 kilos of lead. And that's making them a bit more bulky. And there are rules about the amount of lead you can take. And the lighter riders are like in normal, they are smaller. So they have a little bit less air resistance as well.
Yes.
So that's also giving them a bit of an advantage, and for us, like the big guys, we have already more air resistance, so we get already a small penalty by that. So yeah, it's finding the balance in the end, and that's also why you cannot put on lead like endlessly, because you need to float still. So you have to put in bubble wrap, so you can put in like 20-25 kilos, but you will be massive. I think the amount of aero drag will be so much that you lose speed instead of gain speed in the end. So yeah, it's all about the balance, the right balance, and penalty for the heavier guys or for the lighter guys, it's difficult in this sport.
Yeah, no, for sure. There definitely seems to be an optimum weight for speed sailing, which most of the big boys like you are around 100. Is that correct, I would say?
Yes, yeah. I think farrel is around 103, 104. I'm 98, so around 100. Most Gunnar is 102, 103. Most sailors will be around 100, maybe a little bit more. But I think that's a bit the optimum weight for the big gusts and the big days.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I think we might have already answered this, but it says, how wide are those two boards? Oh my God, they're narrow. Yeah, well, I think so. What the narrowest one was 37, was it?
So
I was just saying how the narrowest board that's there, which I think is Erik's, is a 37 wide, 37 centimeters.
Can you say it again? Because I could not hear you.
I was just saying, what's the smallest width for speedboard there? I guess it's Erik's, is it? If you are just tuning in, we are live in Luderitz. Obviously, I'm not in Luderitz. Those boys, they're in Namibia, Luderitz. The Wi-Fi isn't great. It's going in and out. We just had a good spell of about 10 minutes, and it sounds like it's gone a little bit dodgy again. So hopefully it starts to come back in. So bear with us. We have had moments of joy, and we're getting some information and the down low, like from right there where it's all happening at the Luderitz Speed Challenge. So, Twan, are you there, mate? Sounds like they're moving around. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to carry on talking until they find a better connection, which I'm hopefully
put it in your vest for weights.
Do they prep the bottom of the board? Maybe.
I actually like those more than the new ones.
So it looks like Twan, can you hear me?
Slide open.
Well, like I said, this was like it did work very good in the test. It looks like we might be getting internet. Like I say, it kind of comes in waves.
Doesn't grip enough.
Connection is completely fucked now.
Same with the new one. A bit.
Yeah. Think you're back now?
Yeah, that seems better.
Yeah.
So there's a question, straight in with a question. Do you prep the bottom of your board, e.g., with a slippery hydrophobic coating?
No.
I
sand it. If anything, we sand them 400 grit. Sand them with 400 grit. Yeah. Seems to be the right thing to do. You just stick a very thin film of water to the surface of the board.
Yes.
Seems to be the way.
Well, that's interesting, because I know there was a bit going around a few times. What is the smallest volume board and size that Twan uses as a big guy?
I think I can go on the 38. It's not a problem to get away on it. It's just a matter of finding the right amount of lift during your run. So for me, it depends like a little bit on the amount of wind, the water state, but 40 feels most stable, and you can make a 40 which is like in terms of width more towards the 38 by just decreasing the amount of tail area. So I have one which is like in terms of tail width more 38 for the big wind days, and one which is more towards like a 40 centimeter wide speed board for the more light wind days or unstable days. So yeah, 40 seems to be for me a bit more the way to go to have the best acceleration also in the start.
Yeah. Question. Can you make the channel, is it possible to make that starting area longer? Like, would that speed up the channel? Because that's kind of, when I was there, that's what I felt like. If you could just get a little bit more settled before that start, the speeds would increase a little bit.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Think already 10 to 20 meters more space in the starting area will get the runs up by maybe even more than 1 knot. It's it's just super short. The time you have to the start line, the amount of meters is not much. So you have to have a big acceleration in the corner.
Yeah, for sure. I've got also got a question. I know Antoine Albo isn't there. I don't think he's coming this year. Do you follow what he's doing with the whole wind tunnel stuff? Have you been looking into it?
I mean, of course, I follow him. I mean, he's the current world record holder, best sailor probably of all times. With I don't know how many times he broke the world record. So it's really interesting stuff he's doing. And I think also if we want to make big steps in terms of increasing speed, not 2 knots, but more towards like the 60 knot range on 500 meters, something has to change. So it's interesting what he's doing, and yeah, we have to just take a look how things evolve, and maybe we are also going more towards that side. I think he's more focused on the foil, getting that more efficient. So yeah, it's for sure interesting, and we just have to wait and see what happens with it. And in the meantime, the guys here have to fight and see if we can break the current world record here.
Yeah, obviously super close last year.
Yeah. I mean,
or the year before.
Vincent was super close. I only think it was 0.02 or 0.03 knots, which was for him it was super sad because he was close, and he also deserved it maybe a little bit to break it. But this year we will see if we get the right conditions with a couple of guys here who can do it, I think, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So what have you personally done this year? Different sails. What are you trying out? Because in my experience of Luderitz, what the biggest problem was is you don't get time to practice. That sounds stupid, but you know, when it's on, and you've got to be ready without ever trying anything in that conditions. It's strange.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, I changed sail sponsor this year, so and with 0.7 we made a dedicated speed sail. That one I tested already in Holland a couple of times, which was working quite good. It's always like you have to see if it's a different ball game, you know. It's so more downwind. I have like days like yesterday, I tend to go to Diaz Point. Normally on Diaz Point you have a bit more wind, so you also have more time to test the smaller sails. So on the canal you only get a couple of days where you can sail like a 5.2 or 5.0, and on Diaz Point it's a bit easier and spend some time on the small gear, get the feeling with the gear. I think that's the most important, that you build confidence towards a big day, so you have gear which you can trust, and then it's just you have to wait and see. You know, it's matter of you have to sheet in at that moment. But it helps if you have gear which you sailed a couple of times and you have confidence with it. That I think is the most important.
Yeah. I mean, I also said this yesterday, but it's like, let's say 2 years ago, you got your fastest time. You're going to bring that same equipment again, but you're also going to bring the new stuff, you know, and it's a difficult balance to know what to take when you get that day. You know, it's.
Yeah. Of course, I brought the board, which I did my highest speed on. But you also know, like, a little bit after that year, what you need to change a little bit from the feeling. So it's not big changes we made in the boards, for example, but small changes. And yeah, you just in the end you just have to wait and see if it works in the right way. But yeah, I go a lot with what I know and what I trust. So that's for me the most important.
Okay, a question from Jason says, what does Twan and Erik think will be the top speeds over 500 meters by windsurfers within the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think, like, we need to change things in terms of efficiency. If we can make it happen that the gear gets more efficient and like we start sailing more in
60 knots, mate. 60 knots.
Yeah.
I
think that in about 10 years we will sail more in like the 25 to 35 knot range, and have gear which is more efficient, maybe on the foil, maybe different sails, different boards, and then we can go towards the speeds that the sail rocket did, for example. But with I think with the current gear we have, we can go 55 maybe on the 500 meter with the canal. Maybe go towards like 57, 58 peak speed, but not a lot more. And also the fins, I mean, the current fins we have, the cavitation already starts at like 50 knots. So yeah, we need to change some stuff, that's for sure. But the thing is, what are we going to change and how can we do it? And how can we make something which is somebody is willing to test, which is not killing him directly? That's all quite important.
Yeah, that is true. And that is the difficulty, isn't it? It's like, I remember, well, I read a post from Erik from yesterday or today that said, you know, yesterday you had 30 knots of wind and you're doing 45 knots, which is actually really good. The problem is, as the wind increases, that efficiency drops.
Yeah, that's the whole point. And you see that, like, with other boats, with the kiters, and they tend to have a different curve in the amount of speed compared to the wind strength. So yeah, that's the main thing I think we need to focus on. And Erik is obviously working hard on that. And Twan has his own project, also I think mainly focused on that part. So yeah, that's it's going to be interesting the coming years, how it evolves.
Okay, we've got a question, technical question. Why sanding the boards? I know that water against water is on the fastest of non-planing vessels, but for super fast planing vessels, I would guess that a more hydrophobic surface would be faster.
Yeah, it's also, I think, a question that if you have a boat which is 10 meters long, I don't know how many square meters in area on the water, the amount of gain you have maybe by a hydrophobic surface is more sufficient than on a board which has only it has almost no surface. And in the end, if we are sailing, the amount of surface which is in the water, it's only maybe 20 centimeters off the tail. It's almost nothing. So from my perspective, but maybe Erik has a different vision on that, it's not so much. It's almost nothing. It's you have so less area going into the water. It won't put any significant result on top of the capability of the board.
There's also one practical thing that happens is if you have a hydrophobic coating on the board, there's a chance that you touch the board and then you touch your fin, and then your fin will stop working, which would be very bad at high speed.
Okay. Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Do you think that foils will ever be used for speed?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the American Cup and also a lot of the sailing boats. If you see what speeds they are doing in maybe 10 to 15 knots of wind, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So I think they will be used for speed. It's just a matter of development in the foils at the moment. They need to be more stable, less drag, all the things that need to be evolved to be able to use it for speed sailing. But I personally think it's going to be the future in the end.
It'll be good up to speeds up to around 55 knots, but above that speed, you get into the transcavitational realm where the water will vaporize anyway. So at that point, if you're on a foil, you would be only using the high pressure side, the bottom side of the foil. The top side of the foil, in other words, will no longer be working. So at that point, you may as well just be on a planing surface, and it's why ultra high speed boats like power boats, jet boats, and all of these kind of things are running on a planing surface.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting, actually. Yeah, so once you're up to speed, it's like the efficiency on a foil is amazing until you get to a certain speed.
Yeah.
Right. Which is around 55. It's why Sail Rocket is not on foils, okay? So Sail Rocket had a top speed of close to 70 knots, and it's actually a planing surface. The steering, the rudder, which is actually on the nose of Sail Rocket, is a triangular wedge. It's actually just a pure, supercavitating wedge, which is what they use on high-speed jet boats and power boats and this kind of thing.
Okay. I'm going to answer this question. No, it is not possible to ride a foil in the channel. It's literally sometimes impossible.
Sure, no. Impossible. Impossible.
To ride a 25 centimeter fin would be almost too big sometimes. How deep is the channel this year, just out of interest?
Super deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's like, it's always also again a matter of finding a balance. I mean, less deep water is because you get more compressed air between the board. It's in the end faster. But there are some shallow spots. But it's in the end, don't think about it too much. You have to go over it either way. Pray that it's good.
Okay, Erik says, what direction and how much wind do you need to break a record today? Like if you were going to say, okay, what forecast do I want to see turn up on that Namibia Wind Guru? What are we looking for?
Yeah. I think in terms of, if you look at Windfinder and stuff, already some like solid forecast in the morning or so. Normally in Windfinder you see at 11 o'clock you see a predicted wind at I think 2 o'clock, and then at 5 o'clock should be already like 20, 25 to 30 knots in the morning, and then building up to maybe 30 to 40, 30 to 45 in the afternoon. That can be a proper record. It also depends on the angle a lot. I think that the angle towards 170 degrees is the best. So
170.
Yeah, 170.
170.
Yeah.
That's straight down. 180 is straight down the canal.
Yeah, I know. 170 is most efficient. That's what we had yesterday.
130.
No, we had 170 yesterday. You can look it back at the wind readings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's it's
so bloody downwind then.
Yeah, but like my fastest day I did in 2019. I was 15 minutes. For 15 minutes, it was around 170 degrees.
Here's 180. 170 is like this, directly downwind.
Yeah, 170 set the wind readings. That was also the forecast for yesterday.
No, but that's not the canal direction.
No, I mean speaking in the wind direction on Windfinder.
Okay.
So I know that 130 is probably the right angle on the canal, but in the wind like the wind forecast says southeast, and that's around 170 degrees.
Okay. Just to be clear, he's talking angle on Wingaroo and not
the compass.
The angle on the canal. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the angle on Wingaroo. So when you say on Windfinder or Wingaroo or whatever, you're looking for 40 knots, but on the channel, that's a lot windier.
Yeah. You have, of course, you have the thermic effect in because of the desert.
What actual wind strength are we talking for the guys at home?
It can go up to 70 knots if like everything is aligned with the cold of the sea and with the warmth inland. It can get gusty up to 70 knots, but of course that's too much for us. I think best will be gusts up to 50-55 knots. Then it's like the water can stay relatively flat, and if you have the right angle, you can go the quickest. I think everything above 50-55 knots.
It's not sailable.
It's not really sailable. You lose too much control to sail really effective. So yeah, I think 50-55 is the max.
So there was, I always remember reading this, and I was probably quite young at the time, but it was about Finian Maynard in France. And when he got his record-breaking run, the conditions or the wind changed, and that created a better, in that first couple of runs after the wind changed, it was a better situation. Can something like that happen in Luderitz, or is it not really that type of spot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Angle. Yeah, especially with the angle of the wind, Ben. So if you have a wind shift where it tends to be a little bit too broad, like 130, 140, and then it builds rolling chop down the canal. So when the wind comes a little bit less, it's still a broad reach, but just a little bit less, like 120 to 130, then there's a magic time where the canal can actually get very flat. So you get very strong wind. It's still a very broad angle, but the water state is flat.
Yeah. And we saw it in 2019 also. Like we had only maybe 15 to 20 minutes where it was good. The whole day it was too broad. Then it changed for like 15 minutes and Gunnar could do one run. Vincent did his fastest run in that time. I did my fastest run. And then afterwards we both went again and it was already more choppy. The wind angle shifted too broad again. So it can be tricky. So you have to be on your game quite the whole day during a day like that, consistently doing runs.
Yeah.
It changes a lot the conditions during the day.
Yeah, it makes a difference. A few more questions coming in. How about super cavitation fins?
Yeah, we're on it.
Yeah, Erik is on it, definitely.
I have.
No, I was just going to say, have you got any there?
Yeah. I can show you what they took them for a second. I'll go get.
I will put the camera the other way.
Let's see what we've got. Just while he's getting those, Jason says, what's the smallest sail, Twan, you use on the windy days in Luderitz?
5.2. For me, 5.2. It's I have the production 5.0 from 0.7 with me as well, which is actually, I think it's more like towards a 5.2 in terms of real surface area. So it's a 5.2 is the smallest, but you cannot compare it here with like any other speed spot in the world where, like, if it's blowing 50 knots, you will be glad in Holland to hang on to a 5.0 or even a 4.7. Whereas here you go so much downwind, like a 5.2 is still reasonably comfortable in like 45 knots. But it's just completely different.
Yeah, and that's what people won't be able to almost comprehend. Luderitz is just different. You have certain equipment for there because everything is so far off the wind. It's crazy. If you did that at any other place, the walk home would be horrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean most places in even in France or in Holland, when it gets above like 50 knots, it's getting almost unsailable unless you can sail along a dam, like 1 meter of the dam. Yeah, and it's the same with the angles. Like 130 degrees, there's I think almost no spot in the world where it stays flat. with that amount of depthness in the reach. So that's a special place. It's really special, and it's hard to tell people if they never saw it. You have to experience it in the end.
Yeah, I definitely think that as well. Like since I've been there, it's just an eye opener. It's just a total eye opener. If anyone ever gets the chance, it is an experience that is worth doing. Not cheap, but for the experience that it is, actually not bad value, I would say.
No, and I mean it's you talking about not only the canal but the whole trip from Cape Town or from Windhoek towards the canal, the whole area. It's such a beautiful place on its own way, and I think it makes the whole thing special. You know, you are here with a group of people who all have the same goal, all enjoy the spirit of speed sailing, and so it makes it a bit magical in that way, to put it like that. But
yeah, I don't want to turn it into a big cliche, but it is like one big family. If you go there, you get into Luderitz Speed Week, and you hang out with these guys, it is just that in itself is worth the money. Trust me. It's there's some great conversations, great minds of speed and windsurfing, and like you say, you all share the same goals. So it is a kind of a pleasure just to be there. And obviously, right. Let's have a look at these fins then.
yes,
You can turn it around the other way.
it's already the other way.
Oh, it's already the other way. Okay, so this is a cavitational fin. Basically, the low pressure side is the same as a regular fin. The high pressure side though is very different. It's actually convex to concave. I don't know if you can see this. If you hold it up to the light, you can actually see it this way. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what happens is that we attach an air pocket to the back of the fin. The back of the fin has got a 5 mil flat on the back, a little bit less than 5 millimeters. So what happens is that it actually sucks the air down through the deck, through that hole, and out through a cavity in the base of the fin.
Whoa.
And so that sucks the air down the trailing edge. As you increase in speed, the air cavity just simply grows off the back of the fin. The point being, at 55 knots, the air cavity will form anyway. It's just the physics of it. And so this way you pre-form the air cavity, and you don't end up with any nasty surprises at 55 knots. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using the rear, you can have a look down this. Hold on. I'm using the rear fin screw hole to suck the air down through the deck. And so this air port lines up with the back fin screw hole.
Crazy. I'm not joking. I mean, I am obviously not technically in tune with all this, but that is mad.
Yeah.
And the benefit of it is what? More predictability? Is that the
Well, the benefit of it is that the fin will keep working up to 70 knots. I mean, if you could actually go that fast. But this is the technology which Sail Rocket uses on its foil.
That's okay. It's fine.
Should be fine again.
Yeah, it's okay. You can hear it fine.
Yeah. So basically, Sail Rocket has a very big version of that, which is what they use for their the foil that resists the wing's power. So it's basically the foil that is acting like their fin, and they spent a long time and a lot of research to get that to work. I think their one, they cost £30,000 for their foil. So they didn't. They had to make sure they got the design right.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Actually, that brings me on. Like David D says, what part of the equipment breaks the most on speed challenges?
Fins.
The people himself, the body. Yeah.
Bodies, yeah. Bodies,
I mean,
yeah.
the fins with Luderitz, it's quite shallow. So I remember personally on the lower wind days, which could be 30, 35 knots, because it's so broad, if you got a little hole in the middle of the course, you could, as soon as you lose a couple of bit of buoyancy from speed, the fin would be on the floor. Is that, and you can't get off because you're still moving. So it's not like it's a tricky one to navigate, I guess.
Yeah, but that's also like, I think the people use their best fins when it gets like good and windy.
Yeah.
You should always bring a couple of G10 fins or
Sacrificial ones.
Sacrificial ones, which you can use during the light wind days. And of course it's not deep, but in the end, like what we said before, if we make it deeper, we lose speed because it's just getting less compressed air underneath the board. So we need that shallow part to get like the high speeds.
Yeah, it makes total sense. A question just in terms of what's happening at the moment. How's the forecast looking? Looks like we might have got a bit of a connection issue again, but
we are back again.
Yeah. So how's the forecast looking? What's the outlook?
It looks like from Friday on the wind picks up again a little bit. It should be from, I think, Sunday. The wind comes back, and then we have some which looks like some good days again. But we have to wait and see. It can change every moment because last week it looked shit for Sunday. There was no wind, and then all of a sudden it came up on Sunday, and we had a great day of sailing yesterday. So anything can happen, but at least looks like something is coming in the weekend and next week. So we just have to wait and see.
So for the guys out there, if you're looking and you're trying to keep an eye on the forecast, look at Luderitz, Namibia. You need to see southeasterly winds, pretty much, isn't it? Southeast.
Yeah, that south till a little bit east in it.
Yeah. So anything within that, and usually there's a 3-day forecast if it looks like a record breaker. Usually there's a kind of lead up, and then there's a big day, and you don't know if the big day is going to be the last day or the one before. Sometimes it's the one before. Does that make sense? Would that be a good?
Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay, boys. Well, thanks for persevering with this. We haven't had the best internet, but I think there's been some interesting information there. For anyone who's just tuning in, they did just have the first day of sort of proper-ish wind at the channel. A few guys got to go out, put in a few, good runs, get some equipment, check everything out, but no record-breaking conditions so far. Like statistically, the most wind we've seen in Luderitz has been within the next couple of weeks. It kind of kicks in, doesn't it? It's that those early mid-November days when we've seen some of the bigger forecasts come through. So these are the early birds. These are the guys that are there in the first week, the guinea pigs, checking everything out, the keen beans. So yeah, super interesting to see it. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening to that. We're going to try and do a little bit more of this. I'm off to the Deafy Win Superstars and then PWA. But in between, I'm going to be definitely keeping an eye on the Luderitz Speed Challenge. And if we get a day, my idea is, I'm going to say this to Twan right now, I haven't told him yet, is to do something like this, and then I can share this link that the guys have got now, and maybe we can get a few updates on the channel. So I would kind of run the stream from here with the live results, and then maybe Rafi can just come in, do a 30-second to 2-minute couple of interviews, or just to get a feel for what's happening at the channel. That's my plan. Whether it'll work, well, we'll wait and see.
We have to. The internet hasn't been the best.
We need to put a booster up. Like, what is it? What's the network over there? They need to put like a booster area at the channel because it would be.
Actually, we can almost only use the fixed connections in the houses at the moment. I don't know what they did with the 4G and 3G connections this year, but it's completely fucked up here. It's I have no 3G whatsoever. I cannot work on it.
Okay, well, that doesn't sound good. So yeah, it's going to be a struggle, that's for sure, to get live stuff from the channel. But we'll try and do this, give you guys a bit of an idea. You know, at some point when the internet is working good, we're going to give you a bit of a rundown. This is actually, you are in Luderitz now. The channel is what, 10 minutes away?
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much.
like 4 or 5 kilometers.
Yeah, and then just behind, just show them inside the shed. We're going to risk losing the internet now, but I want to show you inside the shed of these boys. This is where the R&D and the fin sanding and the single-sided booms and everything's going in. So there's been a lot of work going on in here with sandpaper and all that sort of stuff. So, any windsurfer loves to see a windsurfing shed, and there's, hammers and tools going on, which is always great. And there we go. There's the boards lined up. All right, boys. Thanks for doing that.
No problem.
Legend.
See you soon.
Good luck. And we'll be keeping an eye on you. Cheers, boys.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, man. Yep, so there you go. That is it. I'm doing my best. Like I said, I'm doing it because I want to know what's going on. So it was either me ring Erik and Farrel and these boys and get an update myself, or just do it live, see how it goes, and then maybe you guys can also get some information as well. Update on Farrel O'Shea, who was in the middle bit, but with all the internet, it was quite difficult. Sort of pulled a hamstring. Doesn't know how bad it is yet. He's going to let it go. There's not much of a forecast for the next week, so he's going to rest it, see how it is, and then if it's too bad, he's going to have to come home. So that's going to be a bit of a gutter. But Erik has got all that stuff going on. I'm super excited to see how it works. I just want it to work just because it makes windsurfing more fun when stuff like that is going on. And obviously, Twan, he's looking fit and healthy, isn't he? He's got some new gear. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. So again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you for the next one. Going to Defi Wind Superstars end of this week. It starts next Monday. I'm going to be doing some live stuff, walking around, interviewing. So if you've got any stuff you want covering there, let me know, and we'll see you